code again.
I think a guy
Or like some stuff. I'm thinking in the Java world sometimes like the import statements and so on if you want to put it in JSP. Is there something similar to that in the HTML that's generated by the software?
So you want to pull it from another site?
Like
you mean tab library?
Yeah, like if you want to put any other libraries in there.
Oh yeah, you just load those libraries in a small file. And that's how we're getting these widgets. And the alternative is if you want to reuse a component from another website, you stick it in an iframe and include it with the source, that sort of thing. And another thing that
and if you really, really want to do templates, you have a mechanism for that as well. Right?
Yeah, you can actually use that.
Yeah, it's just that you have to build it yourself.
Yeah.
No. Well, when you generate the HTML, you actually have to read it from a template and generate the HTML the way Seaside wants it generated.
No, Seaside can dump out anything you want. And that's one of this dynamic file thing here is I am having a method call on me and I'm going to produce something. And that something can come straight from template. And if you wanted to, you could actually register callbacks in Seaside from the template engine as well. I've never seen anyone do that, but I could do it, and I wouldn't encourage anyone to try and do that.
So I think that would take, several
Yes.
I related to HTML generation, I have again a quite specific question. If you go to render content on, one of the methods there. So see, the rendering actually changed, I think, starting with, I don't know, version 2.5.
Yeah. It's dedicated in 2.7.
It used to be very functional.
It used to look like this. You would do things like anchor with callback. So, and that would be what it was like.
So that was done in a very Lisp-like functional way by passing blocks around. So now, what is the reason for this change? Why did they change that down to what's there right now? Because I find what's here, the way you render HTML, I just find it quite horrible.
Okay, I think that's interesting that you said that. I felt the same way.
And that HTML argument there all of a sudden is not a stream anymore. It's a pen hierarchy.
It's 10, actually.
Or it's a pen or
So the reason it's like this is if you take the head of your screen, you pick up a pen. When you call this anchor, you essentially say, I'm going to pick up the anchor pen, and I'm going to write with it. So you can do things on here such as a property at title put hello. Right? And what that will do is it will put out an attribute on the page for title, that will say hello, which will give me hello. And then I can do on context menu something else. And that will allow me to do right-click behavior on the element. So the reason it's like this is because I can recognize that an element is comprised of many bits. And the combination of what you're going to use is going to vary quite often.
That was done just fine in the functional way they had before.
I don't know if that's strictly true.
Actually, one thing that I would have really preferred, for example, for that argument to be a stream, and the HTML rendering framework to be completely decoupled from Seaside. I don't know why it's done.
This is actually, this HTML tool here is a render of some sort. And it can be
okay, so it's
an HTML render, an RSS render. So you can make all kinds of this.
Yeah.
In fact, there is a streaming version of the HTML render which doesn't allow you to backtrack in any way, shape, or form.
So I assume that you can set the renderer somewhat higher up, right? That's what you're saying.
On any component, you can set the renderer class.
Oh, okay.
And really change it. In fact, when you were going from Seaside 2.6 to 2.7, you had to specify the renderer class to the new renderer to use interesting text, and then they swapped it so that the default renderer was the new renderer, and if you went to the old renderer, you had to specify. Now in 2.8, the old renderer is gone. So you don't have the new renderer. But, there's RSS renderers, and there's someone's hooked up to Google Earth, and it's been a VML renderer.
Could you use JavaScript in the page? The HTML that gets generated?
So you might have missed that part of the presentation, but where we were doing things like Ajax callbacks, the small talk code is generating a piece of JavaScript. Well, we'll do that. We'll just click on here. On the context menu, you can go HTML, effect, highlight. So, effect will create an SVU factory, which is an SVU effect class, and then the highlight call will give us back a method that's the highlight Ajax method, and when this renders out on the page, it turns into JavaScript. Alternatively, we could simply write JavaScript straight in.
Right on to
Yeah. So these the Scriptaculous library is essentially a JavaScript build of any other questions? I know it's a lot to absorb.
So you're researching the Scriptaculous being a JavaScript code, or is it dynamic code, or static? Is it build what you need at the runtime and then just execute it?
For the Seaside Scriptaculous library, it's built at runtime. So you can build in JavaScript application. Yep.
So with your web velocity project, you want those new customers to basically, so you're moving the cognition of web development into a small dot framework, right? The web development is not into small dot from there, right? And the quality that you find into that is, well, there's the tools and it's simpler. It seems simpler from what I've seen.
Yeah,
You get less like.
you get all the regular small talk events, and less code, more coherent.
But therefore, like, and I guess again, I'm just chatting. My question is, how are you going to get those web developers to swallow the small talk pill? You know, like in the same way that you don't, C or C++ or a Java developer never really swallowed this pill when we showed that to them.
Just don't give them a pill of life. What you do is you give them this environment, and you give them documentation and examples of how to do this. You never say you write the small talk, you just say, if you look for an anchor on the screen, this is how you do it.
I mean, one of the reasons that people didn't